tell you about Tom Chapman Sr. A man I grew up knowing. I remember two things about Tom Sr. One, his nickname was LB. I don't know why. And two, whenever he played golf and someone had a big putt, Tom had a way of jingling that change in his pocket. So for what it's worth, he was a game. He loved gamesmanship. He loved the game. Heck of a competitor. But Tom Chapman Sr. was a multi-sport star growing up in Storm Lake. He was a quarterback of an undefeated Tornadoes football team, and he excelled in basketball and golf too. He picked up golf at the age of 10 years old. After he left Storm Lake, he went to the University of Iowa, where several sports still caught his fancy. Football, one of them, but shoulder and ankle injuries ended his football career. He had a brief track career, too, as a matter of fact. One day he was walking by track practice and saw this javelin sticking in the ground, picked it up and gave her a heave. Well, the track coach was watching and said, "Hey, why don't you come out to the team?" Tom ended up setting a freshman record with a throw of 191 feet. But yeah, he didn't stick with that because he played golf for the Hawkeyes, but he had his greatest success at basketball. He was a 3-year starter for the Hawkeyes. The first 2 years were for Coach Raleigh Williams, and the last year was for Coach Pops Harrison. Unfortunately, Tom's hoops career ended prematurely because of World War II. After the 12th game of the season, Iowa got beat at Northwestern. Tom left Evanston and returned home to Storm Lake for a brief visit before reporting to training in the Army Air Corps 6 days later. A story in the Des Moines Register by Seth Taylor during that game said, quote, "Saturday's contest was the last for the red-headed star of the Iowa Quintet, a heavy score with the old goal." Chapman was a fighter pilot in the Army Air Corps, flying the Burma campaign in Southeast Asia. And during that time, members of the platoon played cards. The story has it one of the members of that platoon was Lee Marvin, who went to Hollywood and became an actor. And somehow I can imagine Tom and Lee getting along fine. After leaving the service, Tom returned to Iowa City and played golf for the Hawkeyes. He would eventually move to Fort Dodge and become a representative for the Huff Sporting Goods Company. And now that tells me why I always had all these jerseys. He'd give them to my dad to give me. I had tons of football jerseys, and that's because of Tom. He was known for his power off the tee on the golf course. He dominated golf in Northwest Iowa for a long time. He won numerous tournaments, and his long drives brought out big crowds. And he always seemed to carry a sense of drama with him. I'm going to read the story that Al Nelson produced. Al's on the Hall of Fame committee. He's from Fort Dodge. And I think this tells you a little bit about Tom and the kind of person he is. This is Al. "I have a personal recollection of Tom Sr. that has stuck with me. It was the 1962 Fort Dodge Amateur. At the presentation table were championship flag prizes. The winner of the tournament would get first choice. Among the prizes were a set of golf clubs, a shotgun, and a mink stole. As the players were coming down the 18th fairway in the final round, word was out that Tom was leading. I saw his wife, Dorothy, caressing the stole. Tom won. When it came time for the presentation of the trophy and prizes, Tom strode over to the table and carefully looked over each item. He then picked up the shotgun. Tom was also an avid duck hunter. There was a noticeable hush in the gathering. You could hear a tee drop. He hesitated, then set the gun down and presented the fur to Dorothy. The crowd cheered. Tom contended for numerous major golf titles, but could never get over the hump on a biggie. But he gained significant fame for a semifinal match he lost to the great John Jacobs of Cedar Rapids in 1948 at Brooks and Okoboji. Let me read excerpts from Burt McGrain's game story in the Des Moines Register. And believe me, they don't write them like this anymore. "Johnny Jacobs met a fighting man here Friday and beat him in a golf duel so hot it fairly showered sparks over the fairways." Friday's story was wrapped around Tom Chapman, former Iowa U golfer and basketball star, who stamped himself as one of the greatest competitors ever to come up in Iowa golf. He threw a flaming 67 at Jacobs in the afternoon, a score so mighty that it has never been bettered at the Brooks Country Club. He forced the Cedar Rapids veteran to smash par by 5 strokes in the afternoon to register 68 and salvage a 1-up decision. Chapman took Jacobs to the final green. He matched birdies with the champion 3 times, twice in the last 3 holes. Between them, they produced a best ball score of 63 over the par 63 layout. Chapman was fighting to the finish. On the final green, he rammed home a 16-foot birdie putt into the hole for his 7th birdie. Jacobs was 8 feet from the hole with his 2nd, and the pressure was on. But Johnny, the 4-time champion of Iowa, barreled his putt straight home for a matching birdie, and the duel was over. Tom's son, Tom Chapman Jr., was fortunate to win a pair of Iowa amateur titles, but their careers were strikingly similar. Junior also played basketball for the Hawkeyes and Coach Ralph Miller. Tommy also led the team in scoring as a senior in 1966-67, and he averaged 16.8 points a game, which is exactly what his father was averaging as a senior when he left for war. Junior won 4 Fort Dodge amateur titles, edged his dad by a shot in 1970. Senior won 3 Fort Dodge amateur titles. Both were the captain of the golf team at Iowa. Together, they won a father-son title. The Iowa Golf Hall of Fame is home to a pair of siblings. We have the Flato sisters of Dubuque, and we have the Smith brothers of Oskaloosa. And now we have a father and son combination. Tom Jr. was inducted in 2008. Tonight, it is my great honor to open the door and welcome his dad, Tom Chapman Sr., to the Iowa Golf Hall of Fame.